Hello, welcome back. So now in this part, we will discuss about the bricks as a common units. So bricks, as discussed earlier, bricks are basically the individual units which are used to build walls, pavements, and other elements of the masonry construction. And you can see the photo here. These are the bricks. So bricks, basically a term which is denoted to, when we use the term brick, it means it will be composed of the dry clay. But nowadays, bricks are chemically treated also, and they are also informally named or termed as bricks. And as I discussed earlier also, bricks are joined together with the adhesive or mortar, or sometimes they can be stacked in the dry form, which is known as dry stacked. But majorly to construct a building, we generally use mortar as a adhesive material or binding material to join these units. Now here we will discuss briefly the brick manufacturing process. So we will see what are the basic steps that are generally followed for manufacturing the bricks. So first step is preparation of brick clay or brick earth. So brick is mainly composed of the brick earth, which is having the main chemical constituent is as the clay. And the second step is molding of bricks. Third step is air drying of bricks. And the fourth step is burning of bricks. So I will be showing you these four processes with this chart. So here in this, you can see the chart. So if we talk about the first step in which we prepare the brick clay or brick earth. So this is the first step in which first we excavate the soil, and this excavated soil is then laid down on the flat surface, and it is cleaned from the impurities. Now those impurities may be the vegetation matter, it may be uh, the lumps or the pebbles. So once it is cleaned from the impurities, then it is laid and for some time so that the weathering is done. And this process is called weathering. So basically, for some time, we leave the earth, which is exposed to the weather. And after that, what we do is we mix this soil with the other material like the sand, and then we add some water also, and then we temper it properly. And by mixing the water, we knead it. So that is the first step in which we prepare the soil for making the bricks. Now in the second step, the second step is about molding of the bricks. So once we knead the soil, then this molding is done. The molding can be done by two ways. One is called the hand molding, and the second one is called the machine molding. So in hand molding, we have a mold, and generally mold is of the size of brick. Like mold is look like this. Say for example, this is the mold, and in this mold, we force the needed soil in it. So and we force it such that all the sides of the mold are filled properly with the soil, needed soil, and the excess soil is removed from the surface, and then we remove the mold. So that is the process of hand molding, in which we force the soil into the mold. In the machine molding, generally the soil is in the plastic state, and we force the soil through the machine. As you can see here, say this is the molding machine, and in this we force the soil, and such that all the corners of the mold is filled. And in the forcing, you can see these like if we force from this side, and the output of the soil you can see here, and once it is coming out, then we cut it using the wire. So we cut it using the wire depending on the specific size we are preferred. And also you can see for hand molding, this is the hand mold, which is used for preparing the bricks with the hand molding. So this is the machine molding and this is the hand molding. And so that is the second step. Then in the third step, once we prepare these bricks, then we keep them to dry. Now drying can be sun dry or can be dried in the oven also. Now if we put the bricks for sun dry, it may take 1 to 2 weeks for drying. And if now sometimes if we want to dry them in the oven, this can be done within 2 days. So brick will be dried uh, within the 2 days. Now we dry them such that the moisture in the brick is about 5 to 7% by the weight only. Now after drying, so that is the third step in which we dry them. Now after drying, after air drying the bricks, then the next step is burning of the bricks. So we keep these dry brick in the kiln. Kiln is also known as bhatta. So we put them in the kiln, and initially we provide this temperature, and then intermittent, then after this we provide the we give the high temperature, and after this we allow the bricks to cool. Cooling can be cooling is done within 2 to 3 days, and once they are cooled, then they are ready to use. So that is the process of brick manufacturing. So then talking about the size of brick, what is the size of brick that we generally use in our country? So basically we have I mean the size of brick is different for different country. So the size of brick may be different in the America, it may be different in the Australia, it may be different in the India. But the main thing which we have to keep in mind is that the brick should be regular in the shape and size, and it should be shape and size such that it can be conveniently handled with one hand, which means we can pick the brick with one hand conveniently. So the size of brick should be uh, in that manner. So basically in our country, we use two types of brick. One is called the standard brick, also known as the modular brick. And the size of the brick in this case is 19 by 9 by 9 centimeter. 19 is the length, width and height of the brick. And we also use brick tile also. The size of brick tile is 19 by 9 by 4 centimeter. So here you can see this is the height of brick, this is the length of brick, and this is the width of brick. So if the height is less, height is half, then we generally have the brick tile also. So that is one type of brick. Second type, in the modular brick, this is the plain size 19 by 9 by 9 centimeter. So when we laid them in the masonry, so the size of brick along with the mortar is counted as 20 by 10 by 10. So as you can see in the arrangement, the mortar will be provided here so that other brick may be joined. Similarly here also, and in the bottom also. So along with the mortar, the size of brick becomes 20 by 10 by 10 centimeter, which means 1 centimeter is added on all the sides. Now, similarly, the second type of brick we have is called non-modular or conventional brick. So these are the bricks which we used from the earlier time, and now also we use them. So the size of these bricks are slightly higher, and the size is 230 by 110 by 70 mm. So that is the size of conventional brick, and you can see here 230 is the length, 110 is the width, and 70 mm is the height of the brick. So there, these are the size of the brick which we generally use in the construction. Now, talking about the classification of brick, well, classification of brick can be done on various bases, but in our course, we will be classifying our brick on the basis of two criteria. One is on the basis of physical and mechanical property. And on the basis of this physical and mechanical property, we have different types of brick like first class brick, second class brick, third class brick, and fourth class brick. And the second basis on which brick can be classified as per Bureau of Indian Standard is strength, on the basis of strength of the brick. So first we will see the classification of brick based on the physical and mechanical criteria, and then we will see the strength classification. So bricks classified on the basis of physical and mechanical properties. So in this we have first class brick. Now what is the feature of this first class brick that we will see? Now these bricks are thoroughly burnt and they are deep red, cherry or copper color. So they should be thoroughly burnt. That is the main feature of the first class brick. The second is the surface of the brick should be smooth and they should be perfectly rectangular with parallel and sharp straight edges, square corner, which means their edges should be sharp. They should be uniform red color, a reddish color. And the next feature is they should be free from any flaws or cracks or stones. No stone should be visible on the surface, and even if we break them, there should not be any visibility of any stone or crack or any flaw. So that is the third feature which is in the first class brick. The next is their texture should be uniform, which means on the surface, or if we break the brick, the broken surface should show the uniform texture. There should not be any non-uniformity. Also, if we try to scratch the surface of the brick, there should not be any impression left on the brick when a scratch is made by a fingernail. There should not be any impression of that. So that is the next feature. And also, as I said earlier, the fractured surface of the brick should not show any lumps of lime. So that is also the criteria. There should not be any sign of the lumps. Also, when we struck the brick against each other, a metallic or ringing sound should come. So when we struck any brick, there should be a metallic or ringing sound. The next is water absorption. When we keep the brick in the water for 24 hours, the total water absorption should not be more than 15% of its dry weight. So for example, if the weight of brick is 3 kg, the total weight after 24 hours in the immersed in the cold water immersion, it should be 3 kg plus 15% of 3 kg. It should not be more than this. Also, the crushing strength. When we test the brick against the crushing strength should not be less than 10 Newton per mm square. So yes, bricks are tested for the water absorption. They are tested for the strength also. So in the test, water absorption should not be more than 15%. The strength should not be less than 10 Newton per mm square. So that is the mechanical property or mechanical criteria for the brick. Now, where can we use these bricks? These bricks can be used in all the important works, and even if we want to make a structure in which bricks are exposed, we can use these first class bricks as they are recommended in the exposed face work. We can use in the reinforced brick work also. So for all important works, we can use the first class brick. Now coming to the next type of brick, which is the second class brick. Well, second class brick will also be having the same requirement as of first class brick, except some of the point, like in the second class brick, we can allow small cracks and distortion. That is the one exception in the second class brick. The next is the water absorption limit. In the second class brick, we can allow water absorption up to 20% of its dry weight. That is also, while in the first class it was up to 15%, but in second class we can allow up to 20% of its dry weight. And the crushing strength of the second class brick is 7 Newton per mm square, which means the minimum crushing strength for the second class brick should be 7 Newton per mm square. It should not be less than this. Now, where can we use these second class brick? We can use second class brick in all the important and unimportant hidden masonry works. So we can use second class brick masonry where the masonry will be hidden. For example, in all the interior walls, we can use the second class brick, but for exterior walls, we can use the first class bricks. Then we have the third class brick. Third class brick are basically underburnt. They are not well burnt, they are underburnt. And the color of third class brick is uh, light, and also they are soft as compared to first and second class brick. They are light colored, and if we struck them each with each other, there will be a dull sound. There won't be any metallic sound, there will be a dull sound. That is the feature for the third class brick. And the water absorption in the third class brick is higher than second class brick, which is 25%. So in this, water can absorb up to 25% of its dry weight. Now, where can we use these third class brick? Obviously, we cannot use them in any important structures. So generally, we use them for building temporary structures. Like if we are constructing a building, so the labor which is used for constructing the building, labor is required to stay near the building. So for making for making temporary structures for them, generally we can use third class brick. Similarly, we have the fourth class brick. Fourth class brick are the bricks which are overburnt. Now, bricks which are overburnt, and because of this overburning, they can be badly distorted in the shape and size, which means they will not be perfectly rectangular on and their size will be distorted, and they will be very highly brittle, so they cannot be used in the general work. So where can we use? Yes, we can use them again in the building temporary structures, and also we can use them as an aggregate for the flooring. So in the floor construction, we can use uh, crushed bricks in the flooring. So we can use them as a aggregate also. Now, next classification is classification of brick on the basis of the strength of brick. And this classification is as per the Bureau of Indian Standard. So based on this Bureau of Indian Standard, as per IS code 1077 1992. So as per this IS code, we can classify bricks on the basis of its compressive strength. And we can see this classification in the table. So here you can see the bricks can be classified as class 35, 30, 25, 20, 17.5. Now, what is the meaning of 35? 35 is basically the average compressive strength. So if we are using class 35 brick, it means the minimum compressive strength of the brick will be 35 Newton per mm square. Similarly, for class 30, it will be 30 Newton per mm square. So this is how we can classify the bricks as per BIS. Now we will see what is the general characteristics of the good brick. Well, good brick characteristics are very similar to first class brick features. The main or the essential requirement for building bricks are they should be sufficiently strong in the crushing, they should be regular in size and shape, and there should be a proper suction rate, which means water absorption should be limited, should not be, obviously should not be more than 15%, and they should give a pleasing appearance when they are exposed to view. If we construct a building, so if the facade of a building is with the bricks, or if they are exposed directly, they should give a pleasing appearance. So talking about the size and shape, so here you can see they should have uniform size and plane. They should have proper rectangular surface with parallel sides and sharp straight edges. As you can see, these are the requirement of first class brick. So that is the main characteristic of a good brick which can be used in the construction. Similarly, the color should be uniform, should be deep reddish or cherry in color. So it indicates the uniformity in the chemical composition and thoroughness in the burning of the brick, which means bricks are burned thoroughly. And the next requirement is the texture and compactness. The surface should not be too smooth to cause slipping of the mortar. Yes, the surface should not be very slippery, because if it is slippery, then the mortar will not stick to it properly. And they should have uniform texture. A fractured surface should not show the fissures, holes, grits, or lumps of lime. So that is again the requirement of first class brick. Then the hardness and soundness. The brick should be so hard that when scratched by the fingernail, no impression is made. That is again the requirement of first and second class brick. And when we struck two bricks together, a metallic sound should produce. So that is the requirement as per hardness and soundness criteria. Water absorption should not be more than 20%, which means first class and second class brick can be considered as a good bricks. And the crushing strength, basically it should not be less than 10 Newton per mm square, but in some work we can use second class brick having the strength 7 Newton per mm square. But ideally it should not be less than 10 Newton per mm square. And the brick earth for which bricks are manufactured, they should be free from stones, conchers, organic matters, or saltpaters. So that is the requirement for the good bricks. Now we will see what are the basic advantages of the bricks over other material. So for example, first advantage is they are uniform in size and shape, and therefore they can be easily laid in the masonry. So that is the first advantage. So if we compare them with the stone, stones are not of regular size and shape. They have to be dressed, then only they can have some proper size and shape. And for that, the skilled labor is required. So in the second advantage, you can see, unlike the stone, brick do not need dressing because they already are regular in shape and size. So they don't need any dressing, and therefore there is significant reduction in time and labor and moreover skilled labor. So if we are using bricks, no labor is required for their dressing. But if we are using stone in the masonry, stones which occur naturally, they are not in the regular shape and size, so we have to use skilled labor so that they can dress the stone before using in the masonry. So that is the major advantage of the use of the bricks. The next advantage is they are cheaper than the stone. Although some quantity of brick may cost more than same quantity of the same quantity of brick may cost more than same quantity of stone, but more expenditure is consumed on processing of stone masonry, such as breaking of stone into smaller size of and dressing. So they are cheaper than the stone because initially, if you see the initial cost of brick, they may seem costly, but if you see the overall cost, because when we buy the stone, we cannot use them directly in the masonry. We have to first employ the skilled labor so that they can dress them and make them feasible to use in the masonry. So the cost of labor also included in the stone cost. So at that time, the brick masonry will be cheaper than the stone. Now also bricks are smaller in size and lighter, so they can be handled uh, easily as compared to the stones, because stones will be may not be in regular in shape and size. They may not be easily handled as compared to the brick masonry. So that is the advantages of the bricks. Now we will see what is the disadvantage of the brick. Well, the major disadvantage of brick is that their durability. Their durability is lesser than the stones. So bricks are not very much durable. If they are exposed to moisture, they may have various defects. One of the defect is called the efflorescence. This efflorescence is basically the appearance of white powder on the brick surface. And this is because when the alkali and salts are present in the brick, so uh, they may react with the moisture available in the atmosphere, and with that there may be this defect which is called the efflorescence. So efflorescence will ultimately disintegrate the soil and disintegrate the brick, and ultimately the durability of the bricks will be less. So they are less durable than stone. And also for the protection, what we do generally, we generally apply the plasters. So to to be safer, uh, to make bricks safer in this efflorescence criteria, what we can do is we can do the plastering, but plastering will include more cost, which means they will be more costly. So that is again is the disadvantage of the brick. And the next disadvantage is that alkalis and salts are present in the brick earth, and they have hygroscopic properties. Now, what is the meaning of hygroscopic properties? This property means they attract moisture from the atmosphere. So the material which attract moisture from the atmosphere is having hygroscopic property. So they attract moisture from the atmosphere, and therefore they absorb the moisture from the air. And ultimately what they do is they create damp and unhygienic condition. So if bricks are left open, they will attract the moisture from the atmosphere and ultimately will create damp and unhygienic condition. And because of this dampness, it will lead to efflorescence, which is the appearance of white powder on the surface of the brick. So that is the major disadvantage of the bricks. So that is all about the brick masonry and the bricks. So we will continue our discussion in the next lecture. Thank you.